Oh, what a massive game it is on a Sunday. Richmond up against Brisbane from the MCG. Richmond have won 9 games this year. 8 of those have been at the MCG. They love playing here, and the Brisbane Lions haven't won for a long, long time. So we've got a big show coming up. Lockie Neal, potential Brownlow medalist. He'll be out there today. We're going to have our chat to him. Ross's man, Andrew McQualter. We're going to talk to him about all things coaching. And Ross, of course. And this is for the Gem, Triple M Sunday Rub. We've got so much to get through. And I'm going to go around the box because there's superstars everywhere in here. I'm going to start with the man who coached in
Sounds like Ross's day, doesn't it?
Ross,
and Lockie Neal,
the boss lion.
Don't get rid of your fat little ass and look, he become a superstar of the competition. Hey? So, yeah, very excited about today.
So what did you tell him?
Well, so he didn't have a great summer. He come back, and I know he's coming on. Lockie, and we love Lockie. And I said, mate, I can't remember the exact quote.
You said take the pumpkin off your head.
Yeah. Yeah,
Did you think he was Robert Harvey? Did you say something about you think you're Robert Harvey?
Well, he had the calves, right? He had banger, and he was going really well, the kid, but it was a little bit. You end up a fat little forward pocket playing in the AFL. So, look, he's a wonderful human being, but I'm fascinated to have a chat to him today. What's the edge they're missing to get it done in finals at home, and why are you 0-12?
And
1 out of the last 12 of the MCG. I want to know. 8 of them under Fagan. They need to lift today.
And someone who obviously got some of that feedback from Ross as well as Jay-Z.
Browny. Yes, nice and svelte. Now, that was the latest arrival I've ever seen for us. I've been doing this for 6 years. Now, no one has arrived later for the Sunday Rub than Ross Lyon.
Perfect timing.
10 seconds before we went on air.
Wasn't late.
But we liked it. With Ducks here 40 minutes early every week.
The great, it's Alan Jones, isn't it? The guy in Sydney, the rugby league coach. When he does a public talk, he walks on, doesn't introduce himself, does the talk and walks off. Just leaves impact. I'm the impactful guy.
Certainly are.
Did you have the car pass underneath today?
I did. Now, that was my error. I owe Ewan Giles, who I formerly called Ewan McKenzie after the great Wallaby, an apology because... Is it the northern stand entrance gate, I thought that was the southern stand we're coming in under, so I was a bit confused. I'm not very widely read. I'm just a footy guy.
Lee Montagna, fresh off calling the biggest moment of the year so far last year with Jamie Elliott kick the goal. Well done, Lee.
Yes, thank you, Brownie. We haven't cut bread on that one yet. We might do break bread. We haven't done that yet. But I just look out there. Look at Chris Fagan just here at the MCG. There's no one here yet. There's some pigeons out on the ground. And Chris Fagan just got his hands in his pockets, just pondering, how can we manufacture a win at the MCG? He's walking up and down.
Trainer walking the track.
What he's thinking,
like a track walk.
He's thinking, if I go 112, the media's going to slaughter me.
Yep.
There he is.
He
Look
is
at him.
deep in thought out there, and a man who he's not often deep in thought as Wayne Carey.
Well, actually, where he's walking, I dominated. On this ground.
That was King's Court.
Walking up and down the MCG. So they have track walkers in racing. So jockeys and trainers, they pay these people to walk the track and they go, okay, where do we stay away from? What do we do? Maybe he's out there at the moment just walking the track. You go back in, you say, look, Charlie, this is where you stay away from today. This is where you get your money from. This is you, Charlie. Just the flanks. Don't worry about that centre half.
I'm not sure.
Grimes, he's going to follow you into the toilets today, Charlie. You better be ready. But he is a fanatical walker, isn't he? He goes on his 2-hour walk.
I'm not sure
Who's got time to do 2-hour walks, by the way?
I'm not sure he's giving that sort of feedback.
Oh, why isn't he, Doug?
Well, I'm not sure he was a whippy little forward pocket like Charlie Cameron is.
You've got to elaborate to all the players.
Well, I remember when
everyone needs.
I found out. By the way, I found out. I've got a little
Dennis.
bit of. I've got something to say. A little bit of a. Well, not an apology. I caught up with the Players Association during the week. Paul Marsh.
Fonzie,
And
you were wrong.
And an ex-teammate of mine, Tim Harrington, who is at the Players Association, and but by the way, went very well. And
Don't butter him up. Get to the point.
I found out a little bit more about what they do behind the scenes that I wasn't aware of, or
you've been manipulated.
Simply wasn't aware of,
like
and I thought, no,
We've got to.
We've got the duck.
stand by.
How much are you getting?
Stand by some of the things that I said, but I was also unaware of a lot of stuff that they do behind closed doors.
Have some heavy.
And I was also unaware that Tim.
Jay King might have just paid a visit.
I said to Tim, because Tim was at North when I was there, and I said to Tim, were you there? Because we've got our reunion next week. I said, were you there in '96? He goes, yeah. He goes, I was your forwards coach. He said, I was your forwards coach for 3 years. I didn't know.
Your arrogance knows no bounds.
I said, are you serious? I said, I don't remember that. He said, well, I don't remember having to give you too much information.
Well, you know what? To put a full stop in that, it's great that they're now covering your operation.
Yes.
No, it was
the only reason you went and saw them, so you get your shoulder done.
No, not at all. It wasn't about me. It was about having a better understanding about what they do, and understanding the fact that why they don't speak up on a lot of different issues, because there are a lot of issues that players want, kept private. So there are a lot of conversations, I'm sure, that are had that we just don't hear from it. And they were correct in saying this, and this is what they did get right. They said generally the people that you would have gone around and asked, like tossers like Browny and Joe and Rui and all of these ex-players that are in the
anyone with a Y
that were all on big money and all these guys. He goes, we're not probably those guys probably aren't the ones ringing us up or needing our help. It's others that do. So that was and it was probably obvious, but I did say, look, I should have given you a call, and they said, is that you apologize? No, was it half a?
Oh, it's almost game time now.
You would have kept them pretty busy.
You know what, Browny? I've noticed with you, you did this to TJ on the footy show this morning. And I thought it was terribly rude, given that he was the host.
You came in and liked it.
Given the host.
5 minutes ago.
And you cut him off. No, I felt terribly embarrassed for him. I did. So I'm going to ring him, actually, and let him know that you probably need a break.
Sounds like a cover-off to me. Hey, well done last week, Joey. We must talk about the fact that you called the pants off the last goal of the game. And I've copped some good feedback from everybody thinking that I'd back the Bombers last week.
You haven't received it all, Brownie. There's more to come.
There's more to come. Is there, Ross? You got some feedback?
We've got some feedback for you. Yeah. You better enjoy your teammates' moments.
Celebrate the
sat
win.
there like there'd been a death in the family.
Like, not even a grin.
Yeah, nothing.
No, I had a smile on my face.
Yeah, but you can't tell because you've got that much
That's my problem.
Can we back over? Can you cover it off? Because I was thinking, did he have a big multi going? He missed out. It was like
Bombers.
Joey got the special moment. Or Duck and I were, in fact, talking over everybody.
Well, we did get the memo last week. We got the email to say don't talk over in the big moments. And there's no bigger moment than that last week, Collingwood. And no bigger moment than the kick and goal after the siren. And I thought that maybe there was a couple of times where, let's listen to it. We'll listen to
no, we don't have to do that.
Who are we going to listen to first? We're going to listen to Ross or we're going to listen to Duck first?
A point won't be enough.
So he can't play on.
It has to be a goal.
He'll play. If he plays on, it'll be after the
Look
side.
at
What's his
Ramsey.
history?
Ramsey's
What's
nervous.
his history,
Look at
Drew?
Bearsy.
65% converter.
He's going to kick this. He's going to cross the junction of the boundary
If
line
it
and the
comes
50
slightly
metre
out
line.
to his right,
The siren will go. The kick is on its way. You are kidding me. You are kidding me. The Pies have done it again. I didn't realise how much there was coming over the top from both of them.
Ross, he can't play on. Accident scoop.
well, Brownie, no one else said it. The caller probably should have been.
Yeah, well, that's
Because
the point, Doug.
That's
it's our
exactly
moment,
the point. Because
really.
if he'd taken one step out, and he didn't hear the siren, by the way, he said that after the game. So if he'd taken one step out, it would have been play on. He doesn't kick the goal. But I think that's what the caller should have been saying.
He's giving you feedback.
And I thought I just had to chime in and say it.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Doug.
Yeah,
they
thank you,
talk
Ross.
about disruption in industries. It's been done a certain way for a long time, radio and footy radio. I think we're at the cutting edge, coming over the top with our expertise.
Geez, you were loud, Ross.
Thank you.
And excited and loved the game and passion. That's the feedback I got. And it was Brownie was just ice cold.
I loved it on the inside. I did.
How did you feel in the moment, Brownie? Because when it's a special moment, and it's a bit of a flip of the coin who gets to call the main moment. You're okay, sort of passing the baton.
Absolutely. So I called the point, and there's a few people around, callers who'll call a point and then call a kick out as well when they understand that something might be coming up. But happy to hand it off to Joey, who did a great job. But I've got to remember those cameras there because I looked at that and I showed Christina Sunday night when we got home. She goes, "You look terrible."
But I went through the same thing a few weeks ago. I think it was the Collingwood-Hawthorn game here at the G. You had the final play. Collingwood won by that 4 points. And same thing, I didn't have a smile on my face, and boy, did I cop the feedback. Salty about 2010. You don't like the Pies. Got all that feedback. So,
right.
again, I
because they're deep thinkers, the people giving you that feedback.
You got caught deep in thought yesterday, Duck, with BT. So he might have tricked you yesterday to think that you might have been on air. So let's have a listen.
Yes, and welcome back to Triple M Football. Wayne Carey, your thoughts on the first half so far?
Good half of footy, BT. Thanks for just shocking.
Thanks, guys. 30 seconds. Jog it down if you can.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, through me too. I'm thinking, did I miss the cue there?
You're in an ad break.
He got me. I was just daydreaming, and he just Anyway, BT got a good laugh out of it.
And I love special comments guys, and I also love the boundary line guys. When they go down, they do their job, and at least some people go with something. Like, you got to have the courage to go with something. You got to stand behind something, Ross. And I thought our man here, Jay-Z. But before we get to Jay-Z, this is Tom Brown a few weeks ago. Now, Tom Brown got it completely wrong, but I was happy he put himself in the game when Paddy Ryder got injured.
And what's happening with Paddy Ryder, Bob Jones style, Brownie?
I think there was some collarbone concerns at one point, but I'll just get an update from St Kilda for you shortly, Howie.
Get back down to ground level, Tommy Brown, Bob James Seamarts.
Does I can firmly report that he's having his left calf iced, which is a fair way from his collarbone.
At least he's gone for something. So he's gone the collarbone, and then it's actually the left calf. So I'm happy with Tom Brown. Courage to go, put your head over the ball, and you cop what comes. Not our man Jay-Z, though. So when he got crossed too yesterday, he just went to water.
And let's get downstairs to Jay-Z for Bob James Seamarts.
BT Port's Darcy Byrne-Jones rolled his ankle on the outer side a couple of minutes ago. Has gone downstairs for treatment. Copped a couple of Panadol, or taken some. Hopefully just a restrapping.
All right, just having a little trouble getting his words together down there, Jay-Z.
Did he cut himself off then?
I don't think there are any technical problems. I just think he had a dose of the gibbery.
Just gave up.
You turned your pack off. You turned your pack off on purpose, I'm told.
And to be honest, I think it was fair enough. Being unable to say taken some Panadol, I thought I should just drop right out. So that was pretty poor.
You crumbled on the big stage.
I did, yeah. Not on my own though, Ross.
Generally, too, those tablets are a bit stronger than Panadol.
Well, I did
just for your own. For your own.
Well, I was just trying to lighten it a little
Toradols,
bit.
Yeah. Pre-surgery.
A bit stronger anti-inflammatory.
I didn't want to say sort of rhinoceros tranquilizers, which is sometimes what they are.
Yeah. Very good.
Oh, very good, Brendan.
So you're looking at me now, eh? I've just brought all the content. You're looking at me again.
You're the host.
That's a very good point.
First break, Tom.
We're going to go to break in a minute, but just quickly.
Can I just quickly?
No, you go. Well, that would have been good. 30
Sorry,
seconds.
but last night there was something. I should have jumped in.
Spit it.
Last night they were the crankiest coach press conferences I've seen in some time. There was the coaches got a dose of the crankies yesterday and last night. So I want to talk about that a little bit later. But traditionally, is the journal. Like sometimes he should.
Who? Name names. I haven't watched it.
Let's do it.
Name names.
We'll get to that, Ross.
So the coach pressure index. Bang.
Up.
The tacos,
yes.
red line.
With a big smile on your face.
I love it. Normally I have it as, put me to sleep. What's a coach's press conference? But I've missed something special.
Yeah, there was a bit of feeling in it last night.
Let me guess.
Those are the crankies.
So you're getting it. No one better to ask than Mr. Cranky himself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wasn't Vossi and Bevo, was it?
Well, we'll get to that. And traditionally, sort of, my sphincter would tighten a little bit when you're in the press conference, and you sort of feel the nervous energy. Now I sort of love this sort of stuff. So I'll ask you about the crankiness a little bit later.
So you haven't been. A phone call hasn't come from North Melbourne yet, has it? To you?
Well, we've put all that.
But it hasn't.
Are we going to a break?
This is Jay-Z's Big Three.
Oh, I love the footy yesterday and last night. It's fair to say. Big story at the MCG with Jack Ginnivan and Collingwood, 10 straight when they play Melbourne on Friday night. We'll get to that. And then the Bulldogs giving up a 28-point lead. Duck, you were there. Joey, you were there as well. We'll get to that in a second as the Cats won again. Patrick Dangerfield, outstanding. But this was the twist no one saw coming last night in Adelaide. We're a Carlton team. We've been pumping them up all season. Drop Jack Silvani, go with a taller side, and they were absolutely outworked, out-hunted, out-desired, if that's such a thing last night in that
that's a thing.
Against the Adelaide Crows. Let's get Michael Voss's take on it, and it leaves the Blues' finals hopes in jeopardy. It's going to be an interesting run home, but Michael Voss was very blunt about the hunger last night.
I'd probably start with the desire of both teams. They just had a greater desire than us, and there's not too many games where we've walked away this year and lost the ground ball number that we had today. There's not too many games where contested possession where we've been on the negative side of things. So that effort, work rate, outnumber, winning contest, that's got to be the cornerstone of your game every time you play.
Geez, it was a big team with Pitney, De Koning, Mackay, Curnow, Silvani as well. But do you get in the room afterwards, Ross, and you ask the question, did you blokes think up, come to Adelaide last night thinking you'd roll a team down the bottom end of the ladder? Because it is a tough run home for the Blues.
The absolute truth. The first question I ask is to myself and my coaching panel. Did we start the preparation in the review for Adelaide? Because, you can ask the next question to Joe and say, what was Ross like? And I thought about it last night, like Western Bulldogs, Geelong. I'd be relaxed. I'd just go, we've got to do this, because they'd be tuned in. Human nature, we're comfortable. Adelaide, they've had some terrible performances. So that mental game, I think, get Wayne and Joey to talk. I'd be starting with myself. Ultimately, it's the players, but you got to start. We know it's an above-the-shoulders game because it's 22 weeks. You got to get them in a frame of mind by the time the balls bounce that their desire is at the level you want it to be. And in those games, that's the question I would ask. I wouldn't go to the players.
100%. Ross was always more on edge and sharper with us against the teams that we should have beaten than we were coming up against the top teams. Always Ross was on edge. He'd walk around the rooms. He'd just notice if anyone was just being a bit complacent pre-game, just taking the foot off the pedal. Always did that and sharpened us up because he just knew that we needed a bit more of an edge to get ourselves stimulated to the level we need to be when we were playing teams that we felt we should have beaten.
Did they get too clever for themselves by dropping Silvani? I know he came back on as the Medi sub, but most people think he probably shouldn't, but are they trying to manufacture something to...
I'm close to that, right? Because Stephen, I'll declare my interest. Stephen and it's very good friends of mine, and I admire Jack and what he's done, and we've all watched this year. So what's he? And we had the conversation. I was like, well, you know what? I respect that they're trying to get better as a coaching group, and you can see the theory. 3 tools, but you got to have you got the ground level. Where does Jack fit? But what I like, I said, well, they'll get an understanding of appreciation of Jack, what he brings to the dynamic when he's not there. So they might blossom or they mightn't. So
they had to go. They had to
have a look. Me, like left field, I'd go, you're a tall defender, short. McGovern's come back in. De Koning, if you want them both, he could go to centre half back and play like his brother because he's that athletic and it's easier to play down there. But that's just left field thinking. I don't think it was wrong what they did and Jack come on, but stuff got thrown at them as a coaching group, which we can get to Hitch Your Wagon, but that Saad got keys, a bit of left field, and Nick's learnt off when Mitchell, the Hawks did it to Dawson. Yep. So I don't mind I don't think that was the issue. A few of their best players were, but it was the mental battle they lost. They can cut it and paste it any way they like. And Ducks led great teams. So and Carlton aren't a great team. That's the other thing. If they're a bit off, they come back to the field quick.
Yeah, no, I agree with what Joey said. That's what Dennis Pagan was like when we came up against a side that was we expected to beat. He was way harder, and so you knew that you had to be on for that particular game, and then he knew that if there was a big game, he didn't have to do as much work.
Yeah, and I'd call it the glow of success, right? So you've won a lot in a row, and everyone's feeling good, and then it's not a conscious decision. It happens the insidious creep, and it becomes most people most times. But when you're watching the really good teams, it's everyone every time nearly. So Carlton aren't good enough for most people most times. They need all people every time.
And the other thing that happens, you start to get a few players back. So all of a sudden, the saviours. You get an extra tall back. McGovern's back in the team. We're automatically we're automatically a better team. I think that's a trap that a lot of young teams that haven't played a lot of footy they can fall into that, thinking it's just going to happen. And isn't it funny how It was only a few weeks ago, Joey, you and I had a conversation. I don't know whether it was on air or off air, but we were talking about a few of these players. So Bruce was going to come back into the Bulldogs and automatically make them a better team. Now, look, he's obviously hasn't got a lot of the ball. He's struggling a little bit. Does he make them structurally better? Yes, but he's got to get more of the pill. McGovern's come back into Carlton. He wasn't setting the world on fire before he left, but everyone was saying when he was out, when we get him back, it's going to make a huge difference.
And Carlton
it's never going to make a huge difference.
And Carlton haven't had a fully balanced game in all facets of the game. They've been contested ball, stoppage, score prevalent, and their turnover game over the course of the year hasn't been that strong. And what happened last night? Adelaide destroyed them on turnover scores. It was 14-6.
Oh, brutal too.
But, and that's the trend of the year if you drill in.
What'll be interesting to see if Carlton go with it again and try it one more time, the 3 tall forwards, because that could be an X factor in finals, but they've got to find out whether it's working for them.
You've got to mark it. You've got to, if you're not marking it, you're no good.
That's right.
Simple.
And
or have ground level play in your...
Yeah, correct.
The Tors had no impact. There's injury worries. Newman out. Hewitt's out with a back. Concussion issue for Kennedy. And by the way, it's Caravan, Ross. Hitch Your Caravan. You keep saying wagon. It's round 20.
Oh, sorry.
Hitch Your Caravan. Browny.
You know what?
Hang on. Carlton are vulnerable here. We've got to get to a break, Ross.
I was going to come back.
Carlton, its next 3 games. They've got Brisbane up at the Gabba, Melbourne at the MCG, in an absolute blockbuster that could genuinely draw 80 to 85,000 in round 23 with finals berths on the line. Potentially top 4 for Collingwood.
And you have to win one.
Top 8 for Carlton. Which is the one they are most likely to win?
Well, it doesn't matter.
And that's our game, by the way.
They'll win one of them.
Well, which is it?
They'll win one of them.
Brisbane, Melbourne, or Collingwood?
Brisbane or Collingwood.
Well, I don't think there's certainties, Joey.
They'll win one. They'll win one of their last 3. Don't worry.
They could lose all 3, and they could win all 3 too.
Duck.
I think it comes down to...
Brilliant insight, Duck.
I'm not that worried about
Well, I have confidence that their best footy is good enough against the best. So everyone's saying, they might pinch one, mate. They might win all 3.
Yeah.
I'm not as worried about the Blues, but I am about Chris Fagan.
I know,
Still
look at him.
walking up and down the ground.
Look at him.
As we see at the MCG. He looks disconsolate.
In the words
he's
of the
planning
great,
something massive, I think, today.
In the words of the great Rod Butters, senior coaching takes grown men to places they should never go.
We're going to go to Jay-Z. He's already had one of his big 3. I think number 2 should be, where is his keyboard? Because that's still missing when he went to Lamaro's that day. Not sure where he went to after that. But we might put an investigation into that one. But what do you got at number 2?
Lamaro, South Melbourne. We'll pick it up at some point.
We've got another one of those coming up.
Do we? Oh, boy.
I think we do.
Okay.
When we've got to rub it.
How many mates are you going to invite?
Don't go there.
I've got a lot of mates.
Don't go there.
But no, I might bring a couple.
I liked it, Duck. I liked it.
Thanks. They like you, Ross. That's why they came. They didn't come for those other dudes.
Just joking, Duck.
They all wanted to meet Ross.
I love the people that something
I like them too.
Everyone's welcome.
They wanted a free food.
We're an open house at Triple M.
They did like you, Browny.
Browny did get a bit funny when they started reaching into the dumplings.
Mate, there was one chip taken.
We're just mucking around.
He looked like that call last week. That's how he looked. There was that sort of serious, somber.
Yes. We're just mucking around, Ducks friends. If you're listening, look forward to seeing you next week. Collingwood. I tell you what an extraordinary performance from Collingwood. Every year we see a bit of a fairy tale, don't we? It's been Richmond in the past. We saw Melbourne last year, and Collingwood under Craig McRae after finishing second last season. Unbelievable. What are they? 3rd spot after the siren win last week. They did it again against Port Adelaide. But Jack Ginnivan, and we've been talking about this young fella, Ginnivan, for about 5 to 6 weeks ago, because we've been arguing that there is clearly a set against him. And I don't know about what you thought, Duck, but was he harshly done by again yesterday?
Yeah, there was probably one there. There's probably one that he should have got. And I did think the problem is that ones that he's not getting, others are still getting. That's the only issue. I think the umpires were pretty good, but there was probably one.
There was some inconsistency there. We've been talking about him a lot. It's been hard for him on the field. And then yesterday, speaking with Sarah Jones on Fox Footy, very interestingly, Jack Ginnivan said that it had taken a big toll on his mental health.
It's definitely taking a toll on my mental health and all that stuff, but I'm here, happy, smiling. When you're kicking goals and winning, it's beautiful, so can't complain.
Who do you turn to inside the club? Is it the coach? Is it the captain? Who are the boys that have got your back?
Yeah, I've got some strong leaders around me. Darcy Moore, Callum Brown's one of my best mates. He's looking after me. My mum, my family's so amazing. They're up here every week, so I can't complain. Fly, he's a beautiful human. I love him to bits, and he's looking after me day by day, so it's really good.
And the senior coach, Craig McRae, was asked about this after the game, and what a response from a man who is becoming absolutely beloved at the Collingwood Football Club.
So we're conscious of this. We see him. We try to protect him. We get to a point where we say, I think maybe enough's enough. Let's look after this kid. There's creating all these stories, and again, we got to look at what we can control around that. He's a 9-year-old kid, and he's saying his mental health's been strained. Let's look after him, huh? The way we look at it is you're going to get some right and get some wrong, and Jack keeps putting himself in a situation where he's a bit of a spotlight for this stuff. This is another great lesson for him and all of us. I thought there was a couple of opportunities that free kicks were not paid potentially, and we just got on with it. You have to. What if it's a grand final? Just get on with it.
How much do you admire the way they're handling this kid internally from what you just heard then, Ross?
Oh, it's fantastic. Like, it's next moment. That's what elite sport is. Next moment, next moment. Nothing, not everything's going to go your way. And to hear Ginnivan speak post-game, I thought that was a wonderful interview. He opened up. He showed vulnerability. And we all and it's not easy to do when you're an AFL player. He's kicked 32 goals for the year as a small forward. That's elite. I think he's kicked as many as Charlie Cameron. Is that about right?
Yep.
So he's elite. It's been unique. The one I just saw a replay of. I didn't see a lot of that game. But he dropped maybe an inch. I thought the player still went high. There's a responsibility for me, for the tackler. If we get to the crux and Lee's point, and Doug, we want to value winning the ball, right? So you got to protect the bloke that goes and wins the ball. Now, if he drops an inch, and you can drop. He's going to drop. So 4 warns, 4 arm, get a bit lower. And don't focus on taking his arms as much. So I think the crux of the game, I don't like the real ducking, but it's been going on for years. This isn't anything new, and you have to adapt. I don't mind the one where they raise their arm, because that's a test of strength. It's coming in, and fix your technique. So I understand both sides. It's not binary. It's not black and white. But the responsibility's got to be on the tackler, not to hit the kid high.
Well, I still think now the responsibility's on the player. I think we've got to change the rule. You think about, we had a rule a few years ago. If you duck with your head, you're going to get penalised. How many players do we now see lead with their head?
A lot.
Hardly. No.
So you're saying it's the ball
So
winner.
I think, because we're saying protect the ball winner, I think we need to protect players from themselves. I think it's changed from, if you have the ball, we've got to protect you. We've got to protect the players from themselves. And if you're going to put your head in harm's way, like when we changed the rule where you drove with your head, you now get penalised. We did that to protect the player, even though he had the ball.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So I think we're trying to protect the players from themselves. So if you are leaning in and dropping your body weight to engage in the high contact, I'm happy for a few weeks to try and change players' behaviour for the longer-term benefit.
How about the one he
did
yesterday? He was standing upright.
Now, it's not saying they've all been right, and it's not just Ginnivan. I mean, Toby Green did it yesterday as well. He didn't get paid. There's a lot of players that are doing it at the moment that aren't getting rewarded. So, look, there are some that are right, some that are wrong. The decisions, which is like any decision in a game, holding the ball. Some are right, some are wrong. But I'd like to see it change behaviour, because I did think we get to a point too many players are now utilising the rules to their advantage to get free kicks.
Duck, the big story this week at Collingwood is going to be whether Brodie Grundy comes in. He was very good in the VFL yesterday. Mason Cox, your man, the Jack in the Box on the mark, was sort of okay. But if you're Craig McRae, are you pressing the green button on Brodie Grundy to take on Max Gawn in the blockbuster Friday night against the Demons?
Yeah, Cameron was good. No, Cameron keeps his spot, no doubt. He's in very good form. I mean, it's
Cox.
It's going to be Grundy and Cox. Well, you've sort of stolen my. You've stolen my thunder there a little bit, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But Cox does something that no other player in the competition is doing at the moment, which I want to talk to when we have your segment coming up. But are you
playing Grundy?
He's coming in for Cox if that's the case. Yeah.
You'd be playing him against Gawn? And do you think Collingwood's any chance to knock off the Red Hot Demons? Or is this the reality check that's coming?
I tell you what I will say. I think Collingwood play a game style that will challenge the Demons. I think if they can take the game on the way they have,
it's unconventional, isn't it?
Yeah. So for me, that's whether Melbourne can make that adjustment. Like the way the Bulldogs played against Melbourne the week before, the way they used the footy, the way that it was a little bit lower. They went around Gawn. They went around, Lever was out in that game, but they used the footy differently when they went forward against them. Now Lever's back in, so he makes a big difference.
Sorry, I missed it.
The Bulldogs 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but they're a control team and lead. And
yeah, but
I think the chaos will play into Lever and May's hands. They'll hold position, and Collingwood want to be going quick. They won't be out of the scoring zone like some other teams.
So you think that Melbourne will be?
I think they'll play into May and Lever's hands a little bit if they don't adjust. I could be wrong.
Probably not. Should we go third one here, Brownie? Geelong, yes? Geelong Bulldogs last night. You called it, Joey. Duck, you called it outstanding. I mean, how do the Bulldogs get 28 points up, Joey, and then concede it by there? Patrick Dangerfield put on his cape and was outstanding again.
Yeah, Danger was great. It's the same as what it always is with the Western Bulldogs. When they dominate through the midfield and they dominate clearance and they dominate contested possession and they play their game in the front half, they're as good as any team in the comp. As soon as their midfield don't dominate and the opposition have their fair share through the midfield, the defence can't stand up. It's been the case for a while now, and that happened last night.
That's spot on. The numbers don't lie over the course of a year and last year. They're vulnerable defensively as soon as midfield. And I wouldn't put it down to Dangerfield. I watched it like from quarter time on. I thought he came to the party. He did a couple of things that I jumped out of my seat, that smother. But I was Atkins. It was their small forwards. Stengel was incredible. Their wingers, Isaac Smith. Cameron and Dangerfield come to... I thought Segler was really good.
Yeah.
I thought it was a lot of their lesser light.
They are relying less on Dangerfield than ever before, which is going to be their key to winning the flags if they win it. It's the reliance less, and then they've all spoken about it, that they're playing even football. It's now Atkins and Guthrie and all the others, and not so much Dangerfield.
Holmes and all those guys. They're all the speed.
Holmes.
Speed.
Yeah, they're quick.
Yeah.
So they bring in Liam Jones. Does that fix
the Dogs?
Yeah. Does that fix their defensive issues? Because they dropped Keith, Luke Beveridge. We talked about cranky coaches. This is the
Band-Aid.
First
Are you serious?
He's
not even at the club.
Well, this is what I'm asking. It needs a reprogramming of their defence, does it not?
Well, there's just
a lot of water to go under the bridge before we start thinking whether Liam's going to fix the Bulldogs.
Well, they got out the back a lot. So because Geelong hit through the corridor in an overlap, they got out and they turned it over. It's the worst ground in the world for Bulldogs. Love width and spread the ball, but it's a narrow, 118 metres. But I think I've seen it for too long. Their pressure's not what it was up the field, so therefore their defensive system, because they play quite assertive and then they roll around from the off-ball side, gets caught out more than it should.
We saw the biggest selection call of the week, this Brownie. Beveridge, he's got big kahunas. He dropped Alex Keith, and he was quizzed about it last night. The journalist asked him about the move to drop Keith, and Beveridge bristled.
Can you just take us inside that decision later? Because it caught a lot of people by surprise. Was it something that's been building? Was it...
Why did it take you by surprise?
No, it just took a lot of Bulldog supporters by surprise.
When you say a lot, how would you know that?
A lot of talkback callers, a lot of social media. It was one of the interesting
It's
selections.
the bell curve, though. I mean, the vast majority understand. Yeah. And the ones down the end that ring in or make comment on social media are emotional. Yeah.
So how did he respond to it?
Terrifically well. Amazing human being, Alex Keith. Understands, knows the reasons why, knows Zane's earned a spot. Even though he's been a little bit sore, he absolutely wanted to play because he knows there's things he needs to work on. And he went to work on them today, and he played pretty well.
Interesting, wasn't it? He bristled.
Yes.
He bristled.
So they had Cordy and Gardner down back. Didn't get the chocolates. It'll be interesting in the defensive adjustments that they clearly need to make for next season.
You got Jay-Z, you got Duck, you got Ross, you got Lee Montagna, and right now you've got Hitch Your Caravan.
On Triple M's Sunday Rub.
What do for a caravan?
What?
Caravan.
There's lots of room for you on the bandwagon. We're hitching the caravan.
was a thing that was going to be sponsored at one point too.
Yeah, it's been a very popular segment. I think a couple of sponsors trying to get on board. They're just trying to sort out which one. Brownie, I think there'll be some late change news too coming up. It'll break shortly, but I got a feeling that Brandon Starcevic will be laid out with quad tightness, replaced in the team by Nakia Cockatoo. When that's made official, Brownie, just...
Is that what you're hitching your caravan to?
No, I'm just giving you the late team news before you hear it anywhere else. Now, to try and pep you blokes up, I sort of started the past couple of weeks giving out a few awards for the best hitches, for the worst hitches, and I'm going to get to that first because we're joined by the great man Duck here every Sunday, and we love his company, and I learn from him because he's the best at so much stuff. You know, he was the number one footballer, he's the number one firelighter, he was the number one boxer, then he was
article writer,
the number one journalist in the country. You were the best special comments man. How many times?
Oh well, I was voted by my peers 3 years in a row.
3 times as well, and so he's basically the best at all this stuff. And then he had his big
Didn't say that.
Then he had to climb a ladder, right?
He did, and there was a heights issue.
Exactly.
But even out of that show, Brownie, we found out that Duck is the best listener in the country, right? He's just the best at everything. And I'm like a sponge. I sit next to him every Sunday and I just listen to him. But it's fair to say that Joey on the listening front has got a bit of work to do with his big ears because he sits there in the front left there, Ross, and he curls up like an echidna. It closes his
He's more like a turtle.
He curls up in a ball there and his head goes into his shell in the front left. And
well, that's what a turtle does.
Yes, I know. I was explaining it for the If you're not familiar with what a turtle does. Oh, my God. Anyway, so mid-season, Massimo D'Ambrosio, gun bombers, youngster gets picked up by Essendon in the mid-season draft. And, nice and early, I did this.
I'm going to hitch my caravan. This man has not played an AFL game yet, but Massimo D'Ambrosio, the young man who Essendon took with pick 3 in the mid-season draft, I think looks like a star in the making.
And then, sure enough, Brownie, 3 or 4 weeks later, our favourite echidna / turtle over here in the front left-hand corner did this.
I'm hitching my caravan to this new player that's just emerged in the competition in the last 3 weeks. This little Italian stallion named Massimo D'Ambrosio.
Good one.
He has got a rocket of a left leg. I'm hitching my caravan to him early, Jay-Z, that he's going to be a bona fide 200 gamer for the Bombers for a long, long time.
Now, you can't hitch 2 caravans onto the same car. Like, per car,
it's tough.
It's only one caravan. Duck, so can you take Turt under your wing over here and just get him to, absorb more of your wisdom?
Fair to say I do tune out when you talk. I must admit, so I apologise if I tune out when you sometimes talk. So I think, but we're both wrong because the kid got dropped about 4 weeks ago and hasn't played since.
Axel broke. Anyway, I'll go first. I want to hitch my caravan to Sam Taylor, the GWS key defender that no one ever talks about. We never bring him up, but he's been in outstanding form, and I think he would be a very worthy All-Australian. So Sam Taylor, whilst many of the experts don't give you a lot of recognition, us in the Triple M box here in Melbourne think you're an absolute superstar of the competition. I want to see him in the All-Australian team, Browning.
So you're hitching him to the All-Australian?
Yep.
You're saying that will happen? That's what Hitch Your Caravan is.
In my caravan view, yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, not too bad. I've got a good one. I've got a world first. Okay. I'm going to hitch my caravan.
Done some prep.
I'm going to hitch my caravan to something that I've never seen on the football field before. I want you to have a little bit of a listen to this from yesterday's game.
Look at this. It's going to be the jumping Jack in the box. Oh, no. Cock's gone down on his knees on the mark. And he's jumped. He jumped. And he's put Georgiani's off. He's got cramp in his knee. It was a jumping Jack in the box like never seen by the big stalker. Coxie. Oh, boy. A method we haven't seen.
He's high-fiving him. He thinks it's his result. He's that happy with himself, Mason Cox.
He come out of the ground like a wobbly little gremlin. And he's scared the clappers out of Georgiani.
So I prefer to say BT ran with it. But I've never seen Mason Cox standing on the mark, just crouching down, like right down, and then right before the play, he jumps up and
tricks them.
So tricked them and actually made 2 players that missed. And when they missed, it was like he'd kicked goal of the year. It was
like Dermot when he was strutting around.
He strutted away like as if to say, he even give it the old no score at one stage. And so I'm hitching my caravan to Mason Cox. being the best stand on the mark player in the competition.
How does that tie into the stand
I'd
rule?
say because maybe, because he jumped.
No, you're allowed to jump.
Oh, okay.
Can't move sideways.
So I'm saying that if Mason Cox has to be a professional, every time someone has a shot at goal, he has to go and do his jack in the box.
He's the professional
and stand
on the mark.
And stand on the mark every time
Played
someone
on
has a
few
shot
of
at
them
goal.
Professional stand on the marks.
Oh, yeah.
How about when someone
Who
just
was-
runs
who was
around
the-
him
who
when
was
he's
the
on his
best
knees?
Professional stand on the
A
mark.
couple of my opponents should have won Brownlows for standing on the mark.
Come on, name a name. Give
us one.
Give us one. Give us one.
The Wakelands.
Yeah. No, Dunks wasn't bad at it. There's a few. Simon Presti. No, I'm only joking. The ball stood on the mark.
Okay, I'm going to hitch my. I did a function yesterday at the Williamstown Football Club, and I interviewed Ray Chamberlain. So the umpire, he's umpired 300 games now, but he is an entertainer. I didn't realise how much of an entertainer. We see him out in the ground, but he has just got this personality that blossoms, and it must have been he swore a lot in this program that we did yesterday. I was a bit wondering, there was a lot of old ladies in there, so I was a bit concerned. But I'm going to hitch my caravan to him at some point, being in the media, not as an umpire, but a media performer, to get an inside view and also be an entertainer. So whether that's on radio or that's on TV, you mark my words, he will be in the media, not an umpire. So when he finishes umpiring, he will go into the media.
Like it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Because they do that in the NFL with the big calls. They cross to the referees. Is that right, Joey?
Yeah. Good one,
They
Brownie.
could do that.
Hey, I'm going to itch my caravan to. I've got a stat for you, Duck. You know, I like putting my head in the computer and come up with a stat. I've got a good one that I will go with tonight on the crack. But if it is raining in a game and the Fremantle Dockers are playing, I'm hitching my caravan to the team the Dockers are playing against, because since 2019, Brownie, you can use this on one of your punting shows if you need to do the form and some analysis.
I will.
The Dockers have won 2 of their last 10 games in the wet. So it's like a horse. If it's a wet track, put a line through them. They cannot win. Friday night, they couldn't get the
Collingwood
job done.
belted them earlier on in the year.
Collingwood belted them early in the year. Melbourne beat them Friday night in the wet. The Dockers struggled to play in the wet. 2 of their last 10 since 2019. So I'm hitching my caravan to whoever they're playing and it's wet, the opposition will win.
Good one.
Thank you, Jose.
Very good.
Well, that's been good. You give me plenty of time to. Look, I'm going to go big picture. Hitch my caravan.
Go on.
I've never enjoyed watching the game as much as I have this season for a long time.
Is that right?
And I'm hitching my wagon to what's been Steve Hocking and the stand rule. And I can't believe the hysteria by some prominent media commentators that's been around early in the year and last year about it, because it has been the most significant change, the simplest change, and the game now flows. I really like it. I'm hitching my wagon for
Caravan.
And any of those popular commentators that keep banging on about it, we're going to start going after them.
I've got a second hitch caravan.
Yes.
Now, I spoke about North Melbourne before, so my spies tell me that they've offered obviously Alistair Clarkson, and now they're not talking to anybody else at the moment because they want to give Alistair the respect of saying yes or no. But and it might be a phone call you take or you don't take. You might be interested at all, but I've got good spies to tell me the second phone call will be to Ross Lyon. Now,
well, I've read second a few times, so I'm used to that.
It's not the first call, but they definitely will put in a call.
Bit like you on the Sunday morning footy show.
It is interesting with the Alistair Clarkson situation, because like we all sort of thought he was really into the Tasmania thing, but is the Tasmania thing was it just a bit of a furphy, or like remember he was passionate about the Tassie calls in the Apple Isle, but now he's sort of interviewing clubs and. But we think he's not so passionate.
How confident are you that he will coach Kangaroos?
Well,
do you think he will?
I've been told that he's not enamoured with either of them at the moment. He's looking at both of them thinking, I'm not really sure whether either of them are any good. So it's not, it's not exactly...
That'll come into the media.
Yeah, it's
Take
not,
your
it's
poison.
not a tantalising prospect either club at the moment. It's going to be a lot of hard work.
There was some strong mail 3 weeks ago that he's looking at whether there's going to be a change at Essendon or Richmond. In months' time. Yeah,
Richmond?
Next season.
Can you explain that to me?
Well, does
Dimmer's
Dave...
a 3-time...
Is Dimmer going to stay coach at Richmond forever? Or
Well, forever's a long time, but hasn't he got a contract?
Yeah.
So you're saying he's going to exit before the end of his contract?
Yeah, but so did Mark Harvey.
People but what, they're going to sack Dimmer? Brendan Gale's going to sack Dimmer.
You don't know what's around.
Talking about forever.
Oh, there's
no guarantees in life.
Why don't we have a segment running up the flagpoles?
Jay-Z, talking about forever. Talking about forever, I know we're not a new segment, but we've just sort of diversed a little bit.
Yeah.
Dusty Martin, will we see him play, do you think, for the rest? Will we see him this year?
The mail, I think there's a big chance we won't see him run out for Richmond again. I mean, there's Tigers have been saying he's got a hamstring issue. Whether I think he's also, and understandably and fair enough, still battling with the passing of his father, Shane. I think that is something that the club is still continuing to support him with, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's not until next season that we see the superstar Dustin
And
Martin.
Ken Hinkley, will he be at Port Adelaide? Because, gosh, he's been awfully quiet this year.
Well, let me just run that. That's running up the flagpole again, but they've been really adamant that he's the man. I understand the question. I think it's a good question, but they have consistently said, everyone at Port Adelaide, that Ken Hinkley is the man at Port Adelaide.
That's the time to start worrying, Kenny.